So this is the second and the final part of this project we are doing. So because of the time limit on my channel, I cannot upload a video that is longer than 12 hours. So I have to break this down into two parts. So the first part of this project is over 10 hours because that was where we started from. So we actually started from this crash down to the point we are right now. So if you have not watched the first part, I advise you to follow the link below to actually watch the first part before coming here, because that is how you're going to understand what we did in the past before getting to this point. So if you have watched the first part, so let's get down and finish up with this project. So let's get it done. In this video, we're going to create the components to enable the user to update their recipes. So if we come back right here to the browser, so this one is the recipe details we created there in the previous video. And now this, what we are just going to update right here in the recipes, here we're just going to update the preparation, the instruction, right? So we're also going to update the ingredients, the cuisine, we're going to update the cuisine, and we're going to update the name, and also we can just going to update also the description of this recipe, which is about this recipe, right? And also we're still going to update the image for this recipe. So for that, now we have different components we are going to create that are going to make up the recipe update component. So let's take a look at some of the components we're going to be creating. So right here are some of the components we're going to be creating in this section. So we're going to create an ingredients updater. So this one, remember we have the list of ingredients, right? So we're going to create a separate component to enable the user to add more ingredients to the previous ones we've added, or to remove ingredients from the ones they have already submitted, right? So the next one we're going to do, we're going to create the category selector to enable us to fetch all the categories we have in our database, and also to enable the user to add in new categories when needed. And also we're going to create a component for a country selector component to help us select all countries and extract their nationality for us to attach to every cuisines that we'll be having right there. So by doing that, we could just have, for example, we can have Italian cuisine, right? We have Indian cuisine, we have Vietnamese cuisine, we have Ghanaian cuisine, so on and so forth. So we're going to create a component, and for this now we're going to make a REST call to a fake API online where we're going to fetch all countries and extract their nationalities. So that these are the three components. These are the three major components we're going to be creating in this section that are going to make up our update component. So let's go back to VS Code and get started. So coming back here to VS Code, the first component we're going to create is the ingredients updater. So right here in our command folder, we're going to create the component right in there. So here we're going to have the ingredients updater.jsx. I'm going to enter. So the first thing we're going to do right here is to destructure some props right here. So we're going to just go straight inside the body to start implementing the return body. So I'm going to put this one in the bracket as usual. So the first thing we're going to do right here is to change this one to fit set. I'm going to change it to fit set. And then we're going to have the legend. Then I'm going to set the title to ingredients, right? I'm just going to remove this column right here. It's not needed. Then below right here, I'm going to bring in a rule to separate the title from the body. And the next thing we're going to do is to come below right here. So we're going to iterate through all the ingredients we have right here. So for every ingredient, we're going to create a control for it. So for that now, I'm just going to pull down right here to bring in this code right here. Now this one here, we just try to iterate through the list of ingredients we have from the database, right? And then for every ingredient, we map them to, we just create a row right here. So this row, so inside this row we have two columns right here. Now for every ingredients, we create a control. We create a form control for that ingredients, and then we create a link or a button or an action to actually remove the ingredients in the second column right here. So we say, okay, if the ingredients is more than 1, if the ingredients is greater than 0, right, then we should be able to remove, right? You know, remember that every index, the index of array starts from 0, right? So but now we say, okay, if the index is 0, it means only one ingredient, right? So we don't have to remove. But if the ingredient is more than 0, if it is more than 1, then we should be able to remove. So the second column right here, we just create a function where we're going to be able to remove ingredients when, if in case the user wants to remove the ingredients they have put before, right? So this one right here, this is the callback function right here we've created up here, and also this change function right here is what we used right here, right? And then we just set the placeholder to ingredients plus 1, just to increase the index by 1 at every control that's been created. Then the next thing we're going to do is to go out of this one. Then we're going to bring in another button that will allow the user to add a new control to add new ingredients, right? So here now we just bring in this div right here, and we set this this icon right here for plus, so that when the user clicks on this, we're just going to handle the action right here. We have clicked with this callback function right here. We have passed as a prop right here. We're going to implement all this function at the color component, right? So this is just all we need to do right here. So the next thing we're going to do right now is to make sure we get all this one imported up there. So here we're just going to import this icon, and we're going to import all the properties we borrowed from React Bootstrap. So let's go up right here and get them imported. So I'm going to say import row colon and the form, right? So these ones are coming from React Bootstrap. And then we're having the icon from React Icons library. So I'm going to say far plus this one. This one is coming from React Icons /FA. Okay, so I think this is just all we need to import right here: the row, the column, the form, and this one right here. So this is just all we need to do right here. So let's move to the next component. So the next component we're going to create in this video is the category selector. So here, let's go right in here. What happened? So right here, we're going to, inside this command folder, this where we're also going to create the category selector. Okay, so last time we've created this component already, so now we're just going to get it implemented, right? So now let's generate our component. All right. So now this component, like we said, we're going to use it to fetch all categories from the database, right? And also we're going to create a means whereby the user can actually add a new category. So in case the category they want to update is not available, so they should be able to create a new category, right? So that's just what we want to do. So which means we're going to have a text feed to enable the user to add a new category. So what we just want to do right here, as usual, we're going to come right here to bring in some props. So I'm just going to paste this right here. So now we are working with props, right? But we are not actually, if you take notes, we are not actually nesting props. We are not going into deep on props drilling. It's just a simple props just to get what we want to do, right? But if you want to learn how to use content management such as Reader's Toolkit, so the course I showed you earlier, my course I showed you earlier on Udemy, I published a few weeks ago. So that course we actually use the Reader's Toolkit throughout the course to actually manage our content. So if you take that course, that is one thing you are going to learn in that course as well. So now, having said this right now, we're just going to go down right here to fetch all the categories from the database when this page actually gets loaded, right? So now let's move down right here. So here I'm going to bring in this one right here. So if you take note here is that we actually have it. Let me make this one a little bit cleaner. So here we have a state variable, right, to actually hold all the list of categories we are getting from the database. And here we have a use effect to actually load all the categories from the database when this page gets loaded. So this is the function we have right here. It's just like every other functions we have done in the past, right? Now, having done this right now, I'm going to pull down right here to bring in the function that is going to handle when a user wants to add a new category, right? Sorry for copy and paste. I just want us to be fast because this course, the project has taken a lot of hours, so I just want us to be fast with the remaining part of it, so that we don't have too much time, so that it doesn't span across too many hours, right? So this one right here is the one to actually handle when a user opts to enter a new category, right? So here we just set the category, right? We just set the previous category, and we spread the previous categories inside a new array to add a new the new category, right? So just as before. And here is the text that we set to false, right? Initially when this page is loaded. So we're going to toggle this. So when the users choose to add a new category, that is when this text right here is going to set to true. So the next thing we're going to do here is to bring in a function to handle the change event of the category. So when a category is changed, then this is the event to handle the unchanged, right? And here we see that if the user selects the new option, then we're going to set this value, right, this text box to true. Remember right here we set it to false when the page gets loaded. But if the user selects a value from the drop-down list, select a new, then we're going to set the text box to true so that the user can actually add a new category right here. So we get the callback function right here to handle the unchanged event. So the value that's going to be added to this text field, we're going to add it to the list of categories we've already gotten from our database. And then we're going to come right here to bring in another function to handle new category change. So when the user enters a new category and enter another one, maybe when the user clicks on enter, so this one right here is going to be added to the list, right? So the user can also change what they've entered. So this one is new category change, so this one is category change. So this is just all we need to do right here. So let's go inside the body and start implementing the return body. So for that, now I'm going to go right here to bring this one inside a bracket. So having done this right now, the first control we're going to bring right here is a select control that we actually that's a drop-down control to allow that we're going to populate with the categories we got from the database to allow the user to select a category, right? So now I'm just going to go in here to paste this in, and this one here is the select control, right? So in here we just set the properties. So we set the form, we set it to form class. Then we set required, then we set the value to the selected category we have declared as a prop right up here, this one right here, right? And after that, now we bring in some options right here, and then we bring in the option which is going to allow the user to add a new category. So right here we say if the user select on this option, we're going to show the new text field we've planted right here. And then we just come right here to list through the list of categories we got from the database, and here we just put in the categories inside the select control. Now the next one we're going to do here is the one to actually help us to add a new category when a new option is selected. So now let's go below right here. And then I'm just going to bring in that control. So now we check if add new category input is true, is set true, so which means if the user select new, this one's going to be true. So if the user select new, we're going to bring in, we're going to show this input right here, right? And now we set the value of this input to the new category that's going to be entered. And then we'll bring in a button to actually help the user to add the newly entered category to the list of category we having before, right? So that is the action, the action we have handled right here, this handle new category add, right? So this is just all we need to do right here. I think we don't have anything to import. Like I said, if you are not clear enough with all this, just please meet me up on Facebook and I'm going to explain more to you. But here we are doing right here, there's nothing different right here, nothing new. So these are just like every test control we've created in the past, right? And so this is just a normal iteration to actually iterate through the list of categories we got from the database and map them to the as options, right? So this is just all we need to do right here for now in this category selector. So now before we move from here, let's try to import this use state, and also we're going to import this get all recipe categories right here. So let's go up to actually do the import. This one here, let's go to our service to see if we have gotten, I think we got something like that in the past. We've created something like that. Get all categories. Okay, so this is the name, get all categories right here. So we're going to change it to get all categories, and then we're going to come here to do the import. So we'll say get all categories from the service, and then we're going to come right here to get the use state. So we'll say use state. And I think this is just all we need to import right here. I don't think there's anything we have not imported. So I'm going to save to have a good format. And then let's move to the next component. All right, so now the next component we're going to create is the country selector. So I'm going to close all this, just to close all. So let's go right here inside the command folder. We're going to also create our country selector. So I'm going to say country selector.jsx. So the next thing we're going to do right here. Now remember that this thing we're doing right here, we don't actually need the names of the countries. What we just need right here is the nationality of the country, right? So that's what we need. So now we're just going to come up right here to bring in two props. So the first one we're going to bring right here is selected nationality. Selected nationality. And then we're going to take another one. So this one we're going to call it on nationality change. Nationality. Or we just call this country. Actually, let's just say nationality. On nationality change. Okay, so these are the two props we have right here. Then below, inside our function, we're going to have a state variable to actually keep track of the nationality we're going to fetch from the online fake API, right? So now that we have done this right now, I remember something before I forget. Category selector, this one we just finished, right? I think we forgot to import something right here. Yeah, we forgot to import this one because we're going to run into a problem later. So let's just import it, use effect. Yeah, I remember. Okay, so now let's go back right here to our country selector. So the next thing we're going to do right here, I'm just going to bring in the function that is going to do that for us. Don't be offended because this is just it's just like regular functions we'll be doing, right? So I just want to paste it in so that it will be faster. So now, having said that, right now, I'm just going to bring in the use effect that is going to upload the function, or that's going to call the fake API when this page gets loaded. So now I'm going to paste this in. Let me zoom out. So right here, we have our use effect right here as usual. And in here, we are calling the fake API. Here is called restcountries.com. So let me just go right there for you to actually see what we're doing. Or you can just copy this one. You can copy this link, just go to the browser and paste it there. So let's just go right there. So I'm going to come here to paste this in. And right here we have the link. So right here we have all the countries, right? All the countries in the world being populated right here, and all their information, the countries and all their information. So if we just remove this one right here, if we go to the base URL here, so we're going to see the website. So now you can see this is the browser, this is the website, right? This is the fake API that you can actually use to, you can fetch names, country names, the full name, the country code, list of country codes, currency, languages. So these are all the information that is available in the country, right? So here, the one we're using right here is this all. So the API we are using, this all right here is the one we are using, right? So this one right here, just fetch everything right here, fetch the countries and every information about each country that we're actually fetching right now. So having said that, right now I'm going to, let's go back to VS Code. So right here on VS Code, so that is the country we are fetching. And right here, we just try to convert what we got to JSON right here. And then we try to extract the nationalities of the country from here. Now you can see right here. So if you want to get the nationality of the country, this is where you go. So this is country. We just right here, we'll pass in the country, and then we'll say country that demonyms, right? So this demonyms .english.m. So this word actually gives us the nationality of the country. So now we say, okay, if the nationality is not found here, just give us the name of the country. So this one will actually give us the name. Country.name.common will give us the name of the country, but this part right here will give us the nationality of the country. So that's what we just did right here. And the next thing we did right here is to map, is to actually get the nationality, set of nationality. That's a unique set of nationalities. And then we just sort it right here. Then we try to sort the nationality to start from A as normal. So right here we have the label, and we have the nationality, right? And then we come right here to actually populate our state variable right here with the result, with the unique nationality we got, right? And so this is the one we're going to use to populate the select control. What we're going to do here is to go inside the return body to bring in the select control. Just going to paste this in. So now we have this here. So we just we get a select right here, and we set here the legend called cuisine, right? And then we have the selected nationality as the value. Then we have the unchanged event. Then we set it to handle nationality change. So now let's just go up right there to declare this function right here to actually handle when the select changes. So that is the function right here that is actually handling our unchange, right? And here we just set in the nationality as the value of the select control right there. So here we have the value as the key, then the label as the nationality. So that's just what we did right here to actually get all our nationality being selected. So as usual, before we move on, let's get this use state and this use effect imported. I think that those are just only the things we need to be imported right there. So let's go up right here to get them imported. So we'll say use state and use effect. So like I said, I just want us to go faster. That's why I just copy and paste. So it's not difficult. So you can just pause the video and just go through the code step by step. If you don't understand, just join my Facebook page and just message me. I will respond back to you and guide you across any confusion you might be having. So having done this right now, so which means now we have gotten our country selector, we have gotten our category selector and the ingredients updater. So in our next video, we're going to create the main page, the main recipe update component, where we are going to make use of these 3 components we have created. So I'm going to see you over there. So like I said, if you go to Udemy, this is my course I published maybe 2 weeks ago. And this course is going to teach you a lot of things you need to know in developing Java full stack applications. So this course, you're going to build a complete Java full stack application from the back end down to the front end. And you're going to also learn here, like I said earlier, you're going to learn how to manage your React content, your React application data with Redux Toolkit. And also you're going to learn how to integrate the Stripe payment gateway to your application to actually validate credit card for payment. And also you're going to learn how to deploy this full stack application to AWS. So these and so many other things you are going to learn in this course. So the link of this course is below this video, so you can just follow the link to actually grab this course. Alright, so now it's time for us to create the main recipe update components, where we're going to assemble all the sub-components we have created in our past videos. So now I'm just going to close this one, and then we're going to open up. So let's go to the recipe folder, this one. So here we're going to create a new component called recipe updater. So we're going to call this one recipe updater.jsx. So we generate our component. Now, what we are going to be doing in this component, I'm just going to be bringing in the functions one after the other that we explain what they do, so that to save our time, right? So the first thing I'm going to do right here is to bring in 3 state variables, actually 2 state variables. So this one right here is to handle the new category, and this one right here is to handle the new category input. And this one right here is the recipe ID, and this hook right here means we are trying to extract this ID, this value, from the URL. So now the next one we're going to do is to bring the structure of the recipe that we are going to update. So I'm just going to pull down right here to bring in the recipe structure. So now this is the recipe we're going to update, right? And these are the attributes, these are the attributes or the properties we are trying to update in the recipe. Now, having done this, now the next thing we're going to do, the first thing we're going to do right here is to fetch the recipe that we are going to update using this ID that we've extracted from the URL. So here I'm going to bring in the function to actually fetch the recipe by ID, this one right here. And so before we move on, I'm just going to go up right there to do this import. So I'm just going to go here to fetch this recipe. So I'm going to say import get recipe by ID, this one right here. And this one actually, what I'm just going to do right here is to open this recipe by ID so that we can actually get access to it for auto import. So this one I forgot. Okay, I think it's in here, the service. Yeah. So here I'm going to remove this one and do it again. So let's say import get recipe by ID from here. So now I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. So now that we have gotten the recipe to be updated, so the next one we're going to bring right here, we're going to bring in the unchange, the handle change function. So right here we have the handle change. So when the text field has been changed, so this is the function to actually handle the input change. And the next thing we're going to do is to bring in the function to handle the ingredients change. So when the ingredients are changed, so this is the function to actually handle the changing of the ingredients, right? This one right here. And the next one I'm going to bring in right here is the one to handle when a new ingredient is going to be added, when a user wants to add a new ingredient. So this one right here is the function to handle add ingredients. So now you can see that I've actually commented all these functions so that you can actually go through them step by step. And the next one I'm going to bring is the function to handle the removal of ingredients from the list. So this one right here is the one to handle the removal of ingredients from the list when a user chooses to remove ingredients. And here we are just trying to remember that this underscore right here, we use it to actually as a placeholder for the first argument right here. So the reason why we're using this one as the first argument, it means that we are not interested in this first argument, so we just use this one as a placeholder, right? So this index is what we are actually interested in. So that is what we are doing right here. So this function is the one to handle the removal of ingredients. Then after this, now the next one we're going to do is the function to handle the category change. So this one here is to handle the category change, right? Then the next one is to handle the nationality change. That is the cuisine, right? Because we're going to select nationality for cuisines, right? So now we're going to put down right here to handle nationality change. This one right here. So this one is for the category change, and this one is for the recipe change. For the nationality change for cuisine. So you can see that this component is actually a big component of which I don't want us to waste too much time. So you can just pause the video and go through step by step, or you can just, of course, the whole of the source code is currently on GitHub. So you can just study this code one after the other, step by step, right? And so how we do this right now, so this time around, we're going to bring in the main function that is going to actually send the recipe to the back end for update. So here I'm going to paste this one in. So this one is the one to actually update the recipe, right? So, and after that, now we have the toast right here, of which we are going to import in a moment. And also we're going to import this function in a moment. So now, before we start implementing the body, we're just going to finish importation of all these functions and these hooks we have brought in here. So the first thing we're going to do is to go to our service and actually pull in this function to actually update the recipe. So I'm going to move down here and just come here to pull in the function to actually update this recipe, which is this one right here. So now we're just getting the recipe ID from the URL, right? And then we are passing the recipe information right here to send to the back end for update. But then we are going to go to our back end and actually confirm this URL if it is correct or not. So let's go right here to IntelliJ, and let's go to recipe controller, this one right here, recipe controller. And so let's find the recipe update. So this one is the update, right? The update. So here we have recipes, recipe ID, and update. So here we have recipes, recipe ID, and update, which means it's correct. So let's go back right here and bring in the import. So then we're just going to come right here to add the import here. So we're going to say update recipe, this one. And now we're going to bring in the use state and the use effect importation right here. So here I'm going to bring in the curly braces and just pull in the use state. And also we're going to pull in the use effect. All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing right now is to start implementing the return body of our form. So here I'm just going to come here to put this inside the parentheses. So let's break it down. And the first thing I'm going to do right here is to change this one to React container. So I'm going to borrow this container from Bootstrap. So we're going to say container, right? Container. Okay. So inside this container, we're going to have a card. And inside the card, we're going to have the body as usual. And inside the card body, we're going to bring in a form. So let's have our form element and let's close it. Now, above this form right here, we're going to bring in the title of our page. So this one is going to be of H2 tag. and I'm going to say update recipe. Update recipe. I'm going to set in some classes here. So we're going to say class name, and this one we're going to say subtitle, the class of subtitle, which is in our custom CSS file, right? Sorry, this one is actually subtitle. Title. All right. So now, having done this, now the first thing we're going to do is to start bringing in our control one after the other. So the first control we're going to bring right here is the control that will hold the title of our recipe. So let's pass this in. So this control right here, we just have a form group, right? So the form group actually wrap the label and the control. This is the label right here, and this is the control, right? So that is what this form group is wrapping right here. So every other thing is the same. Now below this one right here, we're going to bring the control that we handle the description of the recipe. So the same way we bring in a form group, right? And there's a label and there's a control. So this is how all our controls are going to look like, right? So below the description, form group, I'm going to go down right here. So I'm going to bring in the two components we've created, which is the ingredients updater and the ingredients updater and the country selector. So these are the two that I'm going to pull in right here. So now I have bring in, so this one is the country selector, and this one right here is the ingredients updater, right? So we just set everything right here according to the functions we have declared up here, right? Okay, so having done this now, the next thing we're going to bring here is the preparation instruction. So this one right here, I'm going to put it inside if. So the next thing we're going to do right here is to bring in a feed set that is going to hold some controls. So let me just pull it in and explain. So right here we have a feed set, and if we click on it, we're going to see the closing tag right here. Now inside this feed set, we have a row, right? So this row here actually houses two of these controls. Now one of the control is preparation time, right? So here we have the instructions. So here we inside this feed set. So this is the feed set that is actually handle the preparation instruction of the recipe. So in here we have the preparation time, right? And here we have the cooking time, and then we have the preparation notes. So these are the things that we just house, that this feed set is housing, right? So you can just take a look at the structure. This one is a separate row, right? And these two right here, the preparation time and the cook time, we put them on the same row, so they're just going to occupy horizontal row, they're going to be on the same row, right? So right here we have two columns inside that row to actually house these two. Then outside that we have another row to actually house the preparation notes, right? So these are the three controls we just grab in right there. So having done this right now, the next control we're going to bring in is the category selector we've created already. So let's put down right here outside this feed set. We are going to bring in the category selector, this one here. So this one here, if we scroll up, we're going to see that all the functions we've declared up right here. So these are the ones that we're actually setting, right, to those controls we have brought in, right? So now, having done this now, I think the last one we're going to do is to actually bring in the buttons that we actually do the submit for us. So for that now, I'm going to bring in a div that is going to contain a link and a button. So below right here, below the form, inside the form, we're going to bring in these buttons. So let me clear this so we can see them properly. So right here we have a div, right? And inside this div we have a link. So this link right here is to direct us back to the recipe details, right? Which is this icon we brought right here. And this button right here is the one to actually submit the update when it's been clicked. So that is all we have done right here. So let's save this to actually have a good format. So the next thing we're going to do is to import everything we have brought in here one after the other. So right now we're going to go up right there to import all these React Bootstrap component we have borrowed from here. So let's scroll up. I'm just going to grab this and pull it up. So here I'm just going to have imports. So we're going to have the row. We'll have colon, the form, and we have the container. And what again do we have? Let's just bring these ones first from React Bootstrap from here. So what else do we have from React Bootstrap? Let's check. So down here we have the container. Okay, we have the card, right? So we have the form of which we have imported, and so we have the card, and then we have, I think we have a button, right? Yeah, so here we have a button. So let's go up right there to get it completed. So right here we have the card, and also we have the button, right? So how we do that right now, we're going to bring in the component we're going to import the component. So now I'm just going to go right here to open all this. Let's open it so that we can actually get the auto import access. So now, where is it? What? Okay, I think this one right here. Okay, this is the update. So let's go up right here to start bringing them in one after the other. So we're going to have imports. The first one here is ingredients. Yeah, the ingredients updater. And here we have the country selector. Yeah, this one. Then the next one is the do we have this country selector? It seems there's a mistake right there. We're going to go back. Okay, I think that one we call it nationality selector, right? But meanwhile, let's finish up. So now we're going to have the category selector. So we're going to say import category selector. So let's go down right here to actually replace the copy and paste with the correct one. So here we have, okay, I think it's up here. Okay, country selector. Yeah, I think this one is the country selector. So why is it not highlighted? Okay, now it's being highlighted. All right, so these are all the things we just need to import right here. So now that we have done all of this now, let's keep our finger crossed. So in our next video, we're going to link this form. We're going to route this form so that, okay, now before we go there, we have this one. So before we run into problems, so we're going to import this one from React router. Which is the React icons library. So we have this arrow right here. I'm just going to copy this one and go up to bring it in. So here I'm going to say import. And I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to say from React icons /FA. Right. Okay. I think these are just all we need to import for now. So if we have any problem, we're actually going to come back right here to get it fixed. So now let's move to the next video where we're going to route this component, and then we're going to test it out to see how it works. So see you in the next video. All right, so now we're going to route this component, and then we're going to actually see the output. But I noticed something right here. There's something we forgot to import, this link right here. So we're just going to get it import before we run into a problem. So this one will be coming from the React router DOM, right? So let's say import. So we're just going to say link, and this link, yeah, is actually coming from React router DOM, this one right here. So how we do this now, let's go back to, we're going to go back to the recipe detail component. So now we are going to do something right here. So, remember last time when we were doing our review, the review component, right? So the same thing we're going to do right here. So when we're going to hide the controls so that when that area is being hovered, that we're going to show the controls. So for that now, I'm going to go up right here. So up right here inside the card body, under this title right here, so we're going to bring in a div that contains the buttons that we're going to use, right? So right here, I just bring in a div right here, and I set this div to review items, which is the class of this div. And then here, just like last time, remember how this one looks similar, right? What we did last time in our review sector. So here, when the mouse is when the mouse enters inside this div, we're going to show the controls, right? But when the mouse leaves, we're going to hide the controls. So now what we're just going to do right here is to go up there to declare the state variable. It's hovered. So now right here, where is it? So I'm just going to say below here, below this one, we're going to bring in the state variable to actually track the hover state of that div. So I'm going to say it's hovered. It's hovered, and set is hovered. Then we're going to say it's false at the initial state, right? And so that takes care of that. So let's scroll down again. Let's go down here. Yeah, so this is it. Now inside this div we have two links, right? So one link here, so this one is the link that when that button is being clicked, so this one is going to link us to this recipe update form right here. So we're just going there with the recipe ID to be updated, right? So that's what we did right here. And the other one right here, the other span right here is to delete the recipe itself, right? So this one is to delete recipe right here. Now the next thing we're going to do right now is to actually come here to you can see that this function is not defined already. It's not yet defined. So we're going to define this function, and then we're going to go, before then we're going to go to our router component, which is our app.js component, where our router resides, to actually route this component right there. So then before we come here to define this one, so let's go to our app component to do the routing. So now here we have this. What I'm just going to do right here is to copy. I'm going to copy this one. Then we're going to move down here and paste it, right? So here we're going to say what is the name again? Let's go here. So here we have update, then we have recipe ID, and we have update, right? So now we're going to go here to just get it set up. So here we're going to say update. So we're going to say update, then we'll have recipe ID, then we're going to say update. Update recipe, actually. Update, just going to say update recipe. And then we're going to bring in the recipe update right here. Recipe update. Yeah, this one. I'm going to bring this one right here. Okay, so here we have update, recipe ID, then update recipe, then we'll have the component. So now we're going to come right here to make this one update recipe. So I'm going to say this one is update recipe, right? And then we're going to, let's import this link, and then we're going to implement this method before we test it out. So let's go up right here to have, do we have router DOM? Okay, here we have router DOM. Now we're going to bring in the link. So this one is a link from the router DOM. And now the next thing we're going to do before we run this application is to actually implement this function right here so that we can actually delete the recipe when it's been clicked. So right now we're just going to scroll up right here. So here is the delete review, and then I'm going to pull down right here to bring in the delete recipe, right? You're going to paste this one right here. So this one is delete recipe, and we just pass in the recipe ID, and after everything we're going to navigate when the recipe is being deleted. So after 2 seconds, here we set a timer right here, right? So after 2 seconds we're going to navigate back to the home page, right? So that's just what we did right here. So before we move on, let's go to our service to declare this function right there. So coming right here to, let's go up, service. So coming right here to our service, we're just going to put down right here. And so this one is the function to actually delete the recipe. So here we just create a normal function and pass in the recipe ID. And this one have recipes, ID, and delete, right? So we're going to go back to the back end to actually confirm this URL. So right here we have the recipe, the delete recipe. So we have recipes, the recipe ID, and delete. So which means recipe, ID, and delete. So this one is correct. So let's go back right here and get it imported. So for now, I'm going to close this one so that we can actually have access to some other things. I'm going to close this app too. So now let's go right here to actually get it imported. So this one is coming from the same service, right? Okay, right here. It's coming from right here. So let's add it. So we're going to say delete recipe. Delete recipe. Is that correct? Delete recipe. Recipe updater. So let's say delete. Oh no, this is not where we're supposed to put it. Where is it? We're supposed to put it inside the details. So this one is not here. It's not here. So let's cut it from here. So here, this is where we're supposed to put it, because this is where we have the delete recipe right here. So let's scroll up and just pull it in. So right here, okay, so we're going to include it here. Delete recipe, okay. So now we've got it deleted right here. So sorry, we've got it imported right here. So the next one we're going to do here is to make sure that this one, we're going to install the hook, the use navigate hook, so that we're using right here to navigate back to the home page when these 2 seconds elapse. So let's go up right there to actually pull in that hook. So I'm going to say const navigate equals use navigate. And this one is coming. Let's go up right here to make sure it's being imported. So this one is coming from the, okay, this one right here is auto imported right here. It's coming from the router DOM. So now that I've done this, now the next step we're going to do, I noticed something right here. We forgot to import something right here. So now you can see right here we have 2 icons, the file edit and the file trash. So these ones are actually coming from React icons. So let's go up right here to get them imported. So below this one, I'm just going to bring it in. So actually what I want to do here, I want to put this down, then I want to remove this one, and I want to say file edit, right? And I'm going to say file trash. And this one is coming from the React icons, right? Just say icons here, React icons / FA, right? So I think we are going to have plenty errors when we're going to run this application, because I think there are some things we need to import that we've not seen. But meanwhile, let's run this application. Let's go to the browser to actually check this out. So let's go to the browser. And I'm going to refresh. So here, okay, here we have it here. We have when it's been hovered. So we have it here, edit recipe details and delete recipe. So let's go to edit this one. Okay, so right here, use params is not defined in here. It's like the updater. So let's go right there to actually find everything that needs to be updated, that needs to be imported. So they said the use param is not, where's the use params? Okay, this one right here. So let's get it imported. So this one is actually coming from the router DOM. I think use param is coming from here. So let's say use params, this one, yeah. So is there anything that needs to be imported? I don't know. Let's go back to the browser to check it out. So let's refresh. Okay, so everything is actually showing right here. So now we have this recipe with ID number 3, right? And then we have, okay, so now we can see that we have all our nationality being fetched. So for example, here we have Afghan, we have, or this one we have American, we have Colombian, so we have Chinese. So instead of the country name, we're having the country nationality, right? So that is what we did in our API. That's to get the cuisines, right? So here is the description, here is the title. But now if you take note right here, this form is not pre-populated, right? But we're going to do it in a moment. But so far so good. Here we have, we can actually add ingredients, and here we can actually remove, right? So now let's go back to actually apply our style sheet to make this form look nice before we come back to talk about other things. So going back here inside this this form updater, so we're going to go right here to set some class to this container right there. So right here, we're just going to come in here to bring in some classes. So here we just set a kind of internal style, that's inline style, to actually control the width of the form, right? And set the margin. And then we set the padding of the form. So now the next thing we're going to do here is to, let's actually go back to the browser to check it out. Okay, so right here, this form is being packaged, right? Now the next thing we're going to do here is to actually find out why our page is not pre-populated, right? So let's go back and get it pre-populated. And so right here, so coming back right here, we're going to, so this one is the function that is actually fetching the recipes by ID. Okay, so okay, right here we're actually logging the error. So let's actually go to let's go back to our browser. So let's go back right there. Let's click on this. So this form is not populated, but the ID is gotten right here, right? So let's go to our console to see if there's any information right there. Let's remove this. Refresh. Okay. Yeah. So right here, the ID is not found right here. So we have API recipes and the ID is not found right inside the updater. Okay, right here. So let's go back right there to check it out. So right here, this is where we're actually, this is the updater, the recipe updater. And here is our service. Okay. This is the ID. So our updater right here. Okay. So this one, let's remove the curly braces. We're going to create an object right here. So now let's go back. I think let's go back to the browser and refresh. Let's refresh. Okay, so we have titles. Now that error has been solved. So this one is another error. So title is not found, which means the data, the recipe data state, the recipe state variable is empty, right? Sorry guys. So let's go back right there. So now set this title here is empty. Why is it? Okay, yeah. So this recipe.title is empty, which means here we are not getting the data populated. Okay, maybe let's push back a step. Let's push a step back. I think the data is residing here. Let's go back. And let's refresh. Okay, so it's been populated. So let's remove this. So now we see that our recipe with ID number 2 has been pre-populated right here, and these are the existing ingredients, right? So now we can actually add more ingredients, we can add more, and we can remove some ingredients, right? So we can remove ingredients. And so here we have our cuisines. So you see that this one is Vietnamese cuisine, right? So right now, instead of Vietnam, we have Vietnamese because we are actually populating with the country nationality, right? And now we have here is a breakfast, the category. So here we actually get all our categories from the database. So, and here we can add a new category, right? So let's go back right here. I'm going to give a little space between these two components right here. So let's go back here. So where are we getting that? So this one here. So here we have the category selector down here, category selector. So let's go inside the category selector. So here we have, this is the new one that is coming. So let's set a kind of margin top right here. Let's say margin top to 2. Let's go back there. Okay, so here we have a little space between. So this one is okay. So far so good. We have been able. Now the reason why here we are not getting this preparation time and cooking time right here is because this one's supposed to be this one is number, right? But if we go here to our SQL Workbench, so this time here actually contains text because we enter this text from Postman, right? So it contains text. That's why it's not showing, right? The cook time and the prep time. But so far so good. We have gotten our update form being pre-populated right here, ready for update. So now let's actually update this. So let's say, okay, we want to make it 3. Let's just say make it 2 recipes, for example. So let's change this one to another country. So let's say Uganda, for example, right? And so here, let's just say the note. But meanwhile, this note, we didn't get this note right here. The instruction note, we didn't get it. But if we go to our MySQL Workbench, I think we get the instruction note right here. Instruction. Yeah, we have the instruction right here, right? Okay, so we're going to check that out. So let's go back to the browser and actually see if it works or not. Or meanwhile, let's go and make sure this one is pre-populated before we start testing once and for all. So let's go back right here to VS Code. So where are we getting the instruction from? So here, this is the updater. So the instruction right here. Okay, here we say instructions. I think it's supposed to be instruction instead of instructions. Recipe.instruction. Instruction. Okay, let's go up right here. So let's make this one instruction, right? I think it's supposed to be, that is the problem, I think. So let's scroll down again. And description, this prep instruction, where is it? Okay, right here, instruction. Let's check it out if it works or not. All right, so now we get the instruction right here showing. So now it's time for us to actually test out. Let's check the update, how it works. Let's say 23. And this one, let's say 15, right? And now we just want to make this one. Only 2 recipes to actually test it out. So let's change the nationality for testing purpose. So let's say Uganda, right? So let's update. Okay. He didn't update, right? There's no update. So let's actually go back. Let's go back there. So right here, it didn't. The update is not yet done. So in our next video, this video is becoming too long. So in our next video, we're going to actually find out why the update is not done. So see you in the next video. So coming back right here, we see that right here. So we forgot to wire this. So let's copy. So we forgot to wire this with the form, right? So let's take the submit action. So let's say on submit. And then let's call the handle submit we have up there, which is this one, handle submit. So let's go back to the browser and check it out. So let's refresh. So now we just want to test it. Let's test the cuisine. Let's change it to Turkish, for example. And let's remove some recipe to make it just 3 recipes. And so let's change this time to 12 and this one to 10, right? And here, let's change it from breakfast to dinner, for example, and let's submit. So here it seems to have worked because we don't have any indication here. So let's actually go back here. Okay, so here we see that we have Turkish, and the ingredients have changed to 3, and also the category has become dinner. So let's just go back again and change it to what it's supposed to be. So this one is Vietnamese. Let's go here. Let's say V for Vietnamese, this one right here. So let's add some other ingredients. Add ingredients. So let's say we have 7 ingredients, right? So I'm just going to say ingredients number 4. Paste it on here and say number 4. And number 5, we're going to say ingredients number 5, ingredients number 6, and ingredients number 7. Number 7. And then let's go back and change it to breakfast, right? So now let's save it. But meanwhile, before we come here, I want us to have indication that it's been saved. So let's go back right here. So we're going to bring in here, we have the toast, but we didn't bring in the container. Let's go up right there. So here we have the toast. What? The toast is not being imported and the application is still running. For real? It's improvement, right? Okay, so now we're going to actually do this import of this toast right here, right, on this updater. So let's go in right here to actually get it imported. So let's say import. And so let's say toast, toast actually. And then let's have the toast container. Toast container. So this one is coming from React Toastify. It's coming from React Toastify. So let's just go down right here to bring in the container to actually display the success message when everything goes well. So let's say toast container and close it. So let's go back to the browser to actually get it saved. So now I'm just going to hit on save. Let's save it. So now we have recipe updated successfully, right? So let's go back to the recipe. So right here we see that our recipe has been updated. So now let's try to delete a recipe. So let's go right in here back to our recipe landing page. So let's try to delete a recipe from here. So which one are we going to delete? So let's delete the cookie from here, for example. So I'm just going to say delete. So here recipe deleted successfully, right? And after 2 seconds, we got back to the home page and see that recipe has been deleted. All right, looks good, right? So I really want to congratulate you for doing this project. It's going to help you. It's going to help. It's a very helpful project, right? You can see that this, even though the project is small, but there are a lot of things that we've unleashed a lot of things in here that can actually be helpful in your next project. Okay, so far so good. We have been able to edit our recipe and we have been able to delete our recipe. So the next thing we're going to do here is to update this update the recipe image, right? So I'm going to see you in the next video. All right, so up to now we see that all our recipes have been uploaded through Postman, right? So now that we have gotten our recipe update component, so now we can update a recipe. So what we just want to do here in this video is that we're going to create a component to actually allow a user to update the recipe image. So we're going to create 2 components in this section. You know, last time we've created a component to actually allow a user to download, that's to allow our project to download image for each recipe, right? So if I go here, so we have a component called recipe image. So remember that this component right here is the one that is responsible for downloading images from database for every recipe, right? Now, in this video, we're going to create two other image components. So one component is to upload image to the database, and the second component is to update the image that is already in existence in the database. Now, I'm going to do something right here. I'm going to create, inside our component folder, we're going to create a new folder called image. And now I would like to move this recipe image down here to this image component, to this image folder. Then I'm going to rename it. So let me just see if I can move it. Okay, let's cut it and see. So I'm going to come here to paste it. Okay, and now though it's going to be a breaking changes, but we're going to rectify it very soon. So what I'm just going to do right here, I'm going to say image downloader, right? So I'm going to rename this one to image downloader. Image downloader. So this one is image downloader. And then I'm going to create another component called image uploader. So this one is image uploader. Oh, sorry, this is dot. And then the last one I'm going to create is image updater. So we're going to have this as image updater, right? So this one also is .jsx. So these are the three image components we're going to be working with. But before we move on, let's go and fix this this component we've just renamed. This image downloader we've just renamed. Let's go and fix the component. I think this one was used in the details component. That's image. Was it used there? Let's check this. So right here, let's check the recipe image. So here we have the recipe image, and so here let's change it to image. So what I just want to do right here, so I don't want us to waste time naming all this, so I'm going to go off screen to rectify the breaking changes. But I will advise you also to, since we have renamed this component, I will advise you also to check everywhere this component is being used and get it renamed to make sure everything is renamed properly and the application is running properly then before we move on. All right, so now I have finished the renaming. So I have renamed this one in the product, in the recipe details, and also I've gone to the recipe card to actually rename this component we have made use of right here. And now our project is still running fine. After all the renaming, everything is running fine. So I hope also you make sure your project is running fine after the component renaming. So if everything is running okay, so let's go back here to actually start the implementation of this image uploader properly. So right here now we have three components for images. So now this one is the image downloader for every recipe. Now this one is the image uploader, the image uploader, and this one is the image updater. So now I'm going to close this one. So the first one we're going to implement is this image uploader right here. Now this image uploader, we are going to just create one function in there. So this function is going to take care of both uploading new image and or updating existing image. Just the same function is similar to the function we created when we were working on the review component, right? So that is what we want to do right here. So now let's generate our component. And now we're going to come here to the structure to properties. So here we're going to have the recipe ID to update, which is to upload a new image, and then we're going to have existing image ID to update the existing image, right? So we're going to say existing image ID. So we're going to come below right here to bring in three state variables. So this one right here is a file reps, right? We're going to use this one to get access to the image uploader later. And this one right here is the one to handle the image, the state of the image, and this one is the one to handle the image preview before uploading to the database. So the next thing we're going to do here is to bring in the function to actually handle the image change, which is the image change event. So now I'm going to bring this in. So this one is the one to handle the image change event, and also is going to handle the preview, the image preview. So when image is present, so we're just going to set the preview the image URL right here to the preview variable right here to actually preview it before saving to the database. So now having done this right now, the next thing we're going to bring right here is the main function that is going to handle either image is being uploaded or a new image is being uploaded for a recipe, or the existing recipe, we're trying to update the image for the existing recipe. So the same way, I'm just going to come right here to pull this in. Like I said, there's no point of typing this one after the other. So now here we have this function right here called handle image upload, right? So the first thing right here we check, so this is image, this is the variable we have right here. So we'll first of all check if there's no image selected, we're going to just have early returned by just setting a message to the user to actually select an image. Now after that, now we come to the try block right here. So the try block right here will declare a variable, a local variable right here called result, right? Now the first thing we did is to check if existing image ID. So which means if we are trying to update an existing image, definitely that image is going to have an ID. So we check if there is existing image ID for the image that will pass in, then we're going to call a function to update the existing image, right? Then after that, now we're going to clear the input, which is the image upload input, right here. So after that, now if this is not the case, if there's no image ID, so which means we are trying to upload a new image. So for that, now we're going to call this function right here to actually update a new image for the recipe. And after that, also we're going to clear this off. Now this is the function right here we declare to actually clear off the image input. Now you can see here that we are actually using the file input ref. We declare up right here, which is the use ref hook. We declare up right here to get access to the image control, right, to actually clear the image when an image is being uploaded. So this is the job of this function right here, right? So which means we are going to use this component to update an existing image and to upload an image for a new image for a recipe. Okay, so having done that right now, the next thing we're going to do before we move on is to just bring in bring in the import of all these hooks we have gotten. So here I'm going to say use state, use effect, and then we're going to have use ref. These three right here. So actually here we don't have use effect, so we don't actually need use effect right here. So let me just remove it. Okay. So now that we have done this, now let's move into our return body to actually start the implementation of the return body. So let's go in here. I'm just going to change this one to a form element. And so having done this now, inside here, I'm just going to bring in a div. Oh, sorry. So inside this div, we're going to bring in another div. Then inside this div we've brought right here, we're going to bring in the control for which is the image input control, right? So now we're going to just paste this one right here. So here we have a form and we have a div, we have another div, and then we bring in the input to actually handle the image upload, right? So that is what we just did right here. So now you can see here that we actually set the file ref to this to reference this control so that we can actually get access to it, right? So that we can actually get access to this control to actually clear it off when we need to do that. So now having done this right now, before we move on, I'm just going to set some classes to this div we have right here. So here we just have the flex box, then align the item to center, and we'll give margin bottom to 2, and we'll set this one here is an input group. And after that, now I'm going to come right here to set some margin for this one, this class. So here I'm just going to set the margin top to 2 and also the margin bottom to 2, right? So that's what we have right here. So now the next thing we're going to do is to bring in the preview, right? So now we're going to check if there is image, right? If there's image to be previewed, then we're just going to set the preview. We're going to set the image URL to the preview, right? So for that, now I'm just going to come below this div right here and bring this in. So here we actually check if there is anything to be previewed. Then we're just going to bring in this image tag right here, this image element right here, to actually set the source to the image preview, right? And so having done this right now, the next thing we're going to do here is to actually bring in a button to actually do the image submission. So let's go below right here to bring in the button. So right here, we just have the class. We just set some classes for this button right here, right? And this button is gotten from React Bootstrap. But what I want to do right here, I want to wrap the whole of this inside a div, right? So I'm just going to go right here and I'm going to close this one. Then I'm going to also close this and close this. Then I'm going to bring here a div. So let's have a div right here, and I'm going to just cut this one so that it will wrap everything we have in here. So let's go below right here and paste it in. So then this div here, I'm just going to set the margin bottom to 4. Say class name and MB. I'm just going to set it to 4. So as to have clearance from the button, and also I'm going to set the margin top also to 4, right? And so that is just what we need to do right here. Let's get this open. So this is just all we need to do in this image uploader component. So now before we leave here, let's go up right there to actually check if there's anything we need to import, right? So here we have the form to be imported from React Bootstrap. So let's go right here to actually get it imported. So I'm going to say import form. And this one is coming from the React Bootstrap. And then we're just going to go here also to actually wire this function we've created right here. So here we're just going to come here to add the submit event. So I'm going to say on submit. Then we're going to say handle image submit. What is the image upload, right? That is the name. Yeah, handle image upload, which is this one right here. So now we are done with this component. So let's move to the next component. All right, so now that we have done with the image uploader, so in this video we're going to work on the image updater. But meanwhile, we're just going to do this import right here, the Toastify. So let's say imports. So we're going to have toast, and also we're going to have the toast container. And both of these actually, as usual, they're coming from React Toastify. All right. So having done this now, let's just go inside the body to bring in. If there's any error, we're just going to throw it out, right? So let's say toast container right here. So that's just all we need to do. So now I'm going to close this down. So let's move down to the image updater. So right here, we have done with this, we're done with this, then let's go here. So now let's generate our image, our component. So this one is going to, so this component is going to be, is going to be simpler. Yeah. So what we just need right here is the image ID that we want to update and the recipe ID that we're going to update that image for, right? So now here we have the image ID and we have the recipe ID. So this recipe ID, we are just trying to extract it from the URL. So, but before we move on, let's just come here to do this import. So let's have the use state. And also we're going to have the use effect right here this time, so that when the page gets loaded, we're just going to want to download the image, right? We'll download the recipe so that we can actually get the image ID we want to update. So having done this right now, we're just going to push down right here to bring the function that will actually get the image downloaded when this component mounts. So let's pull this right here. So right here, we're just trying to get the image. We just try to get the recipe by ID, right? And then using this recipe ID right here. And after that, now we extract the image, and we extract the image ID from the recipe, and we set it to this image ID right here to be updated. So having done this now, we're just going to go inside the body to bring in a container. So let me close this space right here. So I'm going to change this one to React Bootstrap container. And inside the container, I'm going to have a feed set. And here we're going to have the legend. So in here, we're just going to say updating recipe image. Updating. Recipe image. Now here, the feed set, we're just going to say class name. So we're going to set it to border. We're going to set border for it. And we're going to have padding of 4. And also we're going to have the margin bottom to 4 as well. And then this legend right here, we're going to set this tag to our class, our CSS class. So we're going to say this one is a subtitle, right? So we'll set this one to subtitle. So having done this right now, and the container also, we're going to set some inline style for the container right here. So we're just going to come in here to bring in some inline style, which is this one right here. So here we just try to control the width of the width of the container, right? So having done this right now, let's move down to bring in a row. So I'm going here to bring in a row, and this row we're going to give. We're also going to give a class of MB. Let us say MB4, right? Sorry. So this one I'm going to say MB4. So inside this row, we're going to bring in the image uploader, which is the image uploader component we've created a few minutes ago. So here I'm going to say image uploader. Let me open it. Image uploader, this one. So we're going to say image uploader, this one right here. And then we're going to pass in the existing image ID. So here now we're going to pass it to the image ID. We declare up there image ID, and the recipe ID, we're going to pass it to the recipe ID we also have up there. So we're going to say recipe ID, and then we're going to close it. So that's just all we need to do right here. Then after this, now we're going to bring in a link that will actually direct us back to the that will take us back to the recipe details when the image is being uploaded. So if we want to go back to the recipe details, we just want to have a free access to go back to the recipe details, right? So below this one right here, I'm going to bring in this one. So right here we have a div, and here we have a link, and inside the link we just direct back to the recipe ID and recipe details, right? The same link we used last time in one of our components. And here we set the background right here, and inside this link we have the same arrow we have last time. We still have it right here, which is the left arrow. So let's go up right there to actually get this link and this arrow imported, right? And also we're going to import this container from React Bootstrap. So let's go right here to actually get it imported. So I'm going to say container. This one is coming from React Bootstrap, And then we're going to have a link that is coming from React Router DOM import. So we're going to have the link. So we're going to say from React Router DOM, this one. And also, I think we have something else to be imported. Okay, this one right here. So this one is coming from React Icon library. So we'll say import far arrow left, and this one is coming from React router DOM. Yeah, it's coming from here. Okay, this is just all we need to do here. So before we test this out, we just want to make sure this function is being imported as well. So let's go right here to actually get it imported. So we're going to say get recipe by ID. Let's actually open up the service. So let's go right here to get it imported. Yeah, recipe by ID. Okay, so now we've done with this. So now before we move on to other components, so we're going to actually create. We're going to test this one right here. We're going to test what we've done so far to make sure we're able to update the recipe image. So for us to do that now, let's go back to the recipe detail component. And if we scroll down right here, let me just scroll down. So right here, we're going to add another link here that will actually take us to that component when it's been clicked, when it's been hovered, right? So for that now, I'm going to go above this edit recipe here. So I'm going to bring in another link to actually lead us to the component where the image is going to be updated, right? So now, as usual, we're going to let's go to our app.js to define this route. So let's go right there. But meanwhile, I just want to come here to actually, I'm going to have update image, the recipe ID, then updates, right? So let's go right here. So now I'm just going to pull this one down. Let's copy and paste it here. So here we have update image recipe ID, then update image, right? So here we're going to have this one as the image updater. This one right there. And so we're going to go back right here to complete this one. Image. Okay, so this one is just the same thing with the one we've done before, and the link, the icon we're using right here is the same icon we've used here before, right? So let's go back to the browser and check this out. Oh, something is happening. I think there's something need to be imported that we've not imported. So here we have, it doesn't have far arrow left. Really? Okay, let's start our server again. Let's try to start our server to see. So here, just going to arrow enter to start our server, to restart our server. And it seems this one didn't solve the problem. So what actually is the problem? Named far arrow left. Where? In here? From it's not for React Router DOM. It's for React Icons. So where is this place? This is the image updater. We made a mistake with the import. Image updater. So this one here is coming from React Icons, not Router DOM. React Icons /FA, right? So that's where this one is coming from. So let's go back right here and refresh. Okay, so we got this. So let's remove this one. So now let's go here. Where do we go? So let's just try one update. So I'm just going to say, let's go to this jollof rice, Ghana jollof rice, and let's hover. So right here we have another link that tells us to change recipe image. So let's click on it. Use param is not defined in the same updater. Man, you know, this import actually wastes a lot of time. So this one actually, this use param is coming from the router DOM this time around. So we'll say use params, and I think we have a link right here, right? Do we have a link? Okay, we have a link. Yeah, so let's just do this link. So okay, the link is here already. The use param is here already, and this one is here. Container is here, and everything is here, right? So let's go back right there. Let's refresh. What? Oh my gosh, this video is getting too long. So where's the row? Okay, this one is the row right here, man. So let's just bring in this row, and also let's check again. Let's check properly. Do we have a card? No. I wish VS Code can just list everything that needs to be imported once and for all instead of listing them one after the other. So anyways, it happens step by step based on the execution order, right? First come, first serve. So let's go there to our browser. All right. So right here we got our component. So let's try. So here we have the image ID number 6. We want to change, right? I think it was jollof rice, right? So let's change this one to. Let's change it to this one. Okay, so we have our preview right here working nicely. So let's upload. Upload image is not defined. Okay, cool. So it's true, we forgot to define those functions, right? So inside here, the updater here, we have to not actually here, the image uploader. So we're going to go here to actually define these two functions, the update image and the image upload. So I'm going to see you in the next video. So right now we're just going to go to our service to actually bring in these two functions to update or upload image. So I'm going to go right here. Let's check out this. So right here we have a function somewhere to actually download the image, right? Where is it? I'm just going to put them in the same place. So here we have like unlike recipe, get all recipes, get categories, cuisines, update recipe, delete. Okay, so this one right here, we're just going to bring in these two functions right here. So this one is the one to upload the image, right? And this one is the one to update the image, this one right here. So we just create a form object, a form data object, and pass in the file that we want to update, and we send the ID through the URL and pass in the form data, right? And here also we created the form object as well. That we extracted the two the request params, which is the file and the recipe ID, and we send to the back end as well. And here we set the header to multipart, the content type here to multipart / data form data, right? So this is just all we did right here. So now let's go back right here to actually get them imported. So now let's import upload image and this update image and upload image. So these are the two functions we need to get imported right here. So having done this, now let's go back there. Let's go back right here to, so here we want to change this Ghana jollof rice. So this, in case you don't know what is Ghana jollof rice, it's a very delicious food in Ghana, right? So this one is rice. The name is jollof rice. Just search for Ghana jollof rice in Google. You know what it is. And so let's go here and let's hover here and go down there. So let's change that image. So here we're going to choose this one and open it. So let's upload. Oh my God, request failed, 500 which is eternal server error 500. So coming back here, we're just going to go to this image uploader. So let's try to get some indication to actually know the function that was called. So I'm going to say console log. So we're just going to say this one image already exists, right? So which means if image already exists, we're going to call the update function. Else, we're going to come here to call new image. So this one, we're going to change it to new image. New image. So I haven't done this right now. Let's go back to our browser. And now I'm going to click here to actually see what is happening in there. So let's hit on this. So we see that new image was called, which means the image ID was not found, right? That is why the new image was called. So it's trying to upload a new image for this recipe. So this function was called. This function was not called. That means the image ID was not found. So let me go offline and search what happens. Then I'll come back here to explain to us. So coming back right here, we see that the image has been submitted. So what happened was that here, I came right here to, here we are having .data, right? So what I did was that I just have to remove push step backward because the data actually resides right in here. And also this one, we are having it as an object. So we're having it like this as an object. So what I did, I just removed the curly braces and make it a regular ID. So that was what I did. So now let's go back to the browser and actually check this out. So now I'm going to remove this for now. So let's go back to our home page. And now we're going to see that this food has been changed, right? So let's go back right here to change. So we have Nigeria egusi right here. And here we have fobo. Here we have Nigeria white soup. So which one do we change right now? So let's just change anyone. So let's change Kenya food, ugali. So let's say, okay, we want to change this one. And so let's change it to India. Let's change it to India cuisine, for example. And let's save it. So now the image has been uploaded successfully. So let's go here. So you see ugali has been changed. The image has been changed, right? But this one is India cuisine. So let's change this one to Kenya cuisine. So let's go back right there to change the image. And let's change it back to ugali. And here. And let's save it. And let's go back. So right here we see that. So now we can actually change our recipe image. So now we can edit image. We can edit our recipe and also change the image, right? So in our next video, which is almost to the ending right now. So I think the last complex component we're going to create is the component which is the form to actually allow a user to enter new recipes. So that is the last, I think that is second to last component we're going to create, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to see you in the next video. I think we're going to take a break. We're going to have a break right now. I'm a little bit tired now. So let's have a break, grab some coffee and have a break. Then we're going to come back here after the break time. So see you after the break. All right, so coming back here in this video, we're going to start creating the form to allow users to share their recipes. So we're just going to go inside our recipe folder and create a new component. So this one, we're going to call it recipe form.jsx. So what we're just going to do right here is to bring in some state variables. So now these state variables we brought right here. Now remember last time we created a component that the category selector, right, that allow a user to enter new categories. So these are the state variables we're going to use to track that component. So before we move on, let's just come here to bring in the import of the hook. So right here we have this already. So let's move down to bring in the shape of our empty recipe, which is the shape of our recipe. So here is the shape. Let me push this down a little bit. So here is the shape of our recipe at the initial state, this one here. So these are the information we just want the user to enter as new recipe, right? So, and after that, now we're going to go down to bring in the function to actually take care of the ingredients right here, this array of ingredients. Now, remember last time that we have a component that is taking care of the ingredients for recipes, right? So now we're going to bring in a function to handle the event for that component. So right here, we have a function to handle the ingredients change event, right? So we just say, okay, we created a variable called new ingredients, and then we spread the form data, which is this form data right here. So we spread it into a new array, and then we pick in this attribute right here called ingredients, right? And then we set here, we just come down right here to set the newly entered ingredients to be among the ingredients, so the list of ingredients we have before, right? So here we created an object, right? Then we have this one here is typically the previous ingredients we've gotten, right? So here we have the previous ingredients, we spread it right here, and we take the newly entered ingredients created, pass it right here, and then we add the newly entered ingredients right in here inside the list of ingredients we've gotten before. So the next one we're going to do here is the one to take care of when a user wants to add a new ingredients. That's a new field for ingredients. So this one is the one to take care of the new field when a user wants to add ingredients. Remember we have the component we created last time. A user can add more ingredients, and also a user can remove ingredients, right? So now this one is the function to take care of that when a user opts to add new ingredients field. Now the next one we're going to bring right here is the one to take care of when the user wants to remove a field for ingredients. So here we have this one right here, remove ingredients field. So here, this is the one to take care of when a user wants to remove a field for ingredients, right? So here we have the form data, and we get the ingredients, and we filter out the index of the field that the user wants to remove, right? And then we set the form data to the updated ingredients field. So having done that, now we're going to handle the general change of the form. So here we're going to come right here to handle the change, which is the input change for the form. So this is what we have here to actually handle the change event for the form entirely. And now we're going to go to the category to handle the category just like we did last time when we were doing the update form. So the same thing we're doing right here, because this form to add new recipe is very closely the same with the one we did to update the recipe, right? So now we're also bringing here the function to handle the category change, right? So we say that when a user choose the option of new, then we're going to set in this, we're going to show this input right here. Else we're going to hide the input. So remember last time we did something like this when we are creating the update form, right? The recipe or the update form, right? And the next one we're going to do is the one to handle the nationality, which is the cuisine, right? So right here we have this one to handle nationality change for the cuisines. So this one right here. And after this right now, we're going to bring in the main function to actually send the recipe to the back end to save. So here we bring in this function right here to handle submit. And of course, the first thing we did right here is to prevent the default behavior. And then we created an object, a JSON object right here, right? And inside this object, we have the recipe object, right? And we have the user object. So remember that this recipe actually required the username to save at the back end, right? Which is the user that is sharing this recipe. So this is the structure we have right here. So this single object right here contains two objects. So one is the recipe object, and the other one is the user object. So this is exactly the same thing we have in Postman last time. So if we go right here to check the structure of adding a new recipe. Let me open this. So here, this is the structure of adding a new recipe, right? So here we have the recipe object here. And so this object contains everything right here. And below right here, we have the user object, right? So this is the same thing we are doing right there in VS Code, on VS Code. So that is what we are doing right here. And then the next thing we do right here is to define a simple function that is going to clear the form after the form has been submitted. So we just clear off the form, right? So that is just all we need to do right here. So now in our next video, we're going to start implementing the return body of our form. So see you there. So now we're going to start implementing the return body of our form. And the thing is that this return body, everything we're doing right here is exactly the same thing with the update we have done last time, which is the recipe update form. So everything we are doing is just exactly the same thing we did right here. Is the same thing we want to do right there on that form to actually add new recipe. Exactly the same thing. So now what we just need to do right here is to the first thing I'm going to do is to change this one to a container. And inside the container, I'm going to have the title. So I'm going to say this one is H2. And then I'm just going to say share your recipe. Share your recipe. And here we're going to say this one is that class of subtitle. Subtitle. And then I'm just going to come right here inside the container to bring in the style, just to control the width of the form, and also give padding right here. And then the next thing we're going to do below this one right here, we're going to have a rule, right? And then now we're going to bring in our form, the form control. So inside the form, we're going to have a row. And inside the row, we're going to have a form group. And inside this form group, the first control we're going to bring in right here is the title. So right here inside this form group, so we'll bring in a label called title, and then we'll bring in a form control called title. We set the type to text, the name to title, the placeholder, and the value, and the unchanged, right? So now the next one we're going to bring here, we're going to bring in another row and another form group to actually handle the description of the recipe, which is the about the recipe, right? So we're going to come down right here to bring this one. So this control right here is a text area to actually a little bit description of the recipe, right? So if we go back to the browser, so this is what I'm talking about, this description right here. So this is the description. So this is the title, right? And this one is about the recipe, right? So that is the text area we actually brought in here, which is this text area right here that we are bringing in. And so now the next one we're going to bring in the country selector we've created, right? So let's go below this one, and I'm going to have another row. And inside this row, we're going to bring the country selector. Country selector, this one. And then we're going to pass in the selected nationality. And this one here, we're going to say form data.nationality. Form data.nationality. And on nationality change, then we're going to set into handle nationality change we have up there. So we're going to say handle nationality change, this one here. All right, so let's save this. So the next one we're going to bring right here is the ingredients updater. So here I'm still going to have a row. And in here, we're going to bring in the ingredients updater. Ingredients updater. So we're just going to bring in all the props we'll define up there. So here we have the ingredients, we have the unchanged, we have the so if we go right here, we're going to see that these are what we defined last time when we were doing the update, the recipe update form, right? So the same thing we are using here right now. So having done this now, the next one we're going to bring right here, we're going to bring in a field set that's going to handle the prep time, right? So I'm just going to go down below this one, the row, and I'm going to bring in a field set. Feed set. What am I doing? Feed set. This one. And in here we're going to have a legend. So this one we're going to call preparation instruction. Preparation instruction. Preparation instructions. And below this here we're going to have a rule for demarcation, right? And now after this, now inside this one we're going to have a row, and inside this row we're going to have 2 columns. So inside this column, we're just going to, the first one we're going to bring right here is the form group to handle the prep time, which is the preparation time. So we're going to put this one right here, which is this control right here, to handle the preparation time, right? And then the next one we're going to bring inside the second column is the one to handle the cook time, which is the cooking time. So below this column, we're going to bring in another column to handle, or yes, that is going to handle this one right here, the cooking time, right here. And notice that these 2 controls, we put them inside one row so that they're going to be on a row, right? So that's what we did right here. And now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to copy this one and replace it here. Now, before we move on, I'm just going to set some classes to this field set. Class name. So this one I'm going to say border. Border. They're going to have padding to 4. I'm going to have margin bottom to 4. And this row here, we're also going to have it. We're going to give some margin space at the bottom. Then we're just going to say, so this one we're just going to say MB3. MB3. So after this now, we're going to come down right here to bring in another text area for the instruction notes, right? So this one is going to take the description of the instruction, just this one right here, this one right here. So this is the field we try to bring in right here. So that one, we call it a note, right? So it's a text area and it's handling the instructions, right? So now the very last one we're going to bring right here is the category selector. So aside this, I'm going to bring in a row, and inside the row we're going to have the category selector. So I'm just going to say category selector, close it, and then we're going to bring in the props. Yeah, so let's save. So I think this all the controls we have in here. So the very last one we're going to bring here is the button to handle the submit event, right? So now we're just going to go down right here outside the row and bring in the button. So this is the button to handle the submit event. So after that, now we're going to go up right here to actually handle the submit event. So we're going to say on submit. Yeah, on submit. Why am I not having why am I not having a suggestion? So we're just going to say handle. What is happening? Are we safe? I'm not having suggestion right here. Anyways, let's just say handle submit. Actually, my mistake. So you can say handle submit. Handle submit. Yeah, this one. So let's save. So the next thing we're going to do right now is to import everything we borrowed from React Bootstrap, and to make sure that everything, all the components we put right here, everything are properly imported. So let's go up, scroll up here. So here we've got a React Bootstrap right here. Let's just bring in the component we have borrowed from there. So we have the form, we have the row, we have the column, and we also have a button, right? We have a button. And what else do we have from React Bootstrap? Let's check. So we have the form, the row, the container, the column. So I think that's just we also have the button. We didn't have a link. So this is just only thing we have from React Bootstrap. So the next thing we're going to do is to go and implement this function right here. This what is it? This one right here. So we're going to go to our service to implement this add recipe. But before then, I noticed something here. So we have toast right here. We're still going to import this toast container. So let's go up right here to bring in from the React Toastify. We're going to say import toast and the toast container. And this one is coming from React Toastify. React Toastify, this one. Okay, so let's go down right here to actually bring in the container to display message when the need be. So we're going to say Toastify, this one, and let's close it. Okay, so this is just all we need to do right here. So in our next video, we're going to go to our service and actually get this created. So coming back right here, we're just going to go to our service. So in our service, we're going to pull down to add recipe. So we're going to bring in a function to add recipe. So this one is add recipe. So we have the recipe data to be added. So we just post. So this is recipes. Let's actually go to IntelliJ to confirm it. So let's go to the recipe controller. Create recipe. So here we have recipes. Yeah, so here we have recipes and post, right? So that's just all we have right there. So which means this one is correct. So recipe and recipe data. So let's go right here to get it imported. So I'm going to say import add recipe. Yeah. Okay, so having done this right now, I think this is just all we need to do. The use state has been imported, and so I think everything has been in place. So we are going to go. Let's route this component so that we can actually navigate to it to see the output. So let's go to app.js. So right here I'm going to copy this one and pull it down. So this one we're going to say add recipe. Let's remove this one. So I'm going to say add recipe, and this one is what's the name? Recipe form, right? Sorry. So this one is going to be recipe form. This one here. Okay, so let's stretch it out. So you have the path is add recipe, and this one right here. So for us to get access to it, let's go to our navbar. I think we have something called custom navbar. Where's our navbar? Do we have a navbar? I forgot the name of that. Was it header? Okay, maybe I think it was header. Okay, I named it header. Okay, so here we're going to log into share recipe. So for now, we're just going to bring in. So we're going to bring in this route right here, so I can actually get access to it. So now that I've done this, let's go back to our browser and actually check it out. So now let's go here. And okay, so this is the output of our form, right? So this one is the note. So this one is the cook time. And this one is the category selector. So we get all our categories from the database. And here we have the ingredients, right? This one sounds familiar, right? Just like we did already last time. Okay, so right here we have this, and so our cuisine, we have all the nationalities ready right here. So before we do the testing, let's go and arrange the structure of our form to make it look good. So we're going to push this one down a little bit so we create space between here, and we're going to arrange this one right here to be aligned. And also we're going to have a line around the form, right? So here, let's go back. So the first thing we're going to do here is let's go back right here. I'm just going to bring in a div. So this div here, I'm just going to set class name. So we're going to say bordered. And then we're going to have some paddings. Then I'm just going to, let's cut this one. And let's scroll down. So here we're going to put it here, and then I think we're just going to come up right here. This one, I think we need to remove. Let me remove this extra row. I think no need, because I think we have something in here. Yeah, so we have a fit set right here, and also have a row. So there's no point of adding extra row right here. And also I'm still going to remove this one. Right, just remove it. So let's save. So let's go back to, okay, so here we have our form straight, and also we have a line, we have a bordered, right? We have bordered our form. So now our form looks good. So in our next video, we're going to test, also we've not done this, let's just go back and complete it before we finish this set. So let's scroll down to the button. So this one is the button right here. What I'm just going to do, so this row, let's control it from here. So let's say class name. What? So let's say class name, and this one was just going to say margin bottom. So let's margin bottom to maybe 4 to push down the button, right? Okay. Yeah, it's okay like this. It's okay. All right. So in our next video, we're going to test our form to see how it works. So see you there. All right, so now we're going to test our form to see how it works. So here, I'm just going to enter some zigzag and get it tested. Here, let's just have some ingredients, like 3. And so let's have like some random times here. The notes, category, breakfast, or maybe let's test this. Let's say snacks, right? Let's add it, and let's save. So right here we have set ID is not defined. Okay, let's go back there. So right here, this is the handle submit. Here is the result. Okay, set ID. Okay, we're going to comment this for now because we've not made use of this yet. So let's comment this out, and also going to comment this out because we've not used it yet. So now let's go back here. Let's send it again. Okay, so right here we have recipe added successfully, right? So let's go back here. Okay, so right here we have some 2 zigzag recipe added here. So which means it's submitted successfully. So let's delete it. Delete it successfully, and come here. Let's delete the second one, and it's deleted successfully, right? Okay, so now we see that our recipe, we're able to add recipe to our form, to our database, right? So the next thing I'm going to do right here, let's go here. There's something that caught my attention right now. So I want us to have a means of navigating back to the landing page, which is back to the home page. So instead of scrolling up right here, right? So for example, when we are on the bottom, we should be able to navigate back to the home page. So now let's go there and get it done before we come here to talk about other things. So coming back right here, let's have so this is the recipe form, right? The recipe details. Where is the recipe details? So let's have details. So now this is the recipe details right here, right? And I want us to grab something. Let me go here. Okay, I want to have this. Not actually this. I think we have. I'm confused. I'm trying to remember the page. There's a page where we implemented. Okay, let's go to the updates. So let's go to recipe updates. This one right here. I think we have something like that. So here we have recipe update. Okay, here. So have back to recipe details, right? So I'm going to copy this same one, copy this one, then I'm going to go here to the recipe details. Then let's go down, and inside this, inside the card, maybe inside, should it be in here? This is the review, right? So below the review, we're going to have a button. But this time around, we're just going to say navigate back to the home page, right? So we're just going to say go back home, right? And then we're just going to say back to recipes. Back to recipes. And this one, let's go up right there to actually get this imported from React icons. Okay, right here, we're just going to add it here, right? So let's go back, and we have a bunch of error right here. React icons. Has already been declared. Okay, I think we have double declaration right there. So we have this one. Okay. So here we have React icons, right? So do we have React? Okay, we have it here already. Let's remove this one from here. All right. So having done this now, let's go back to the browser. Okay, so now we have this one. So let's click on it. So it takes, yeah, correct. So it takes us back to the home page. Okay, so now that we have gotten this, now the next thing we're going to do. So after adding, let's go back right here. So after adding a recipe, so we need to get a means to add image, right? So for that now, I want to make this form a step. So the step 1 is to add the recipe. Then when the recipe is added, then we're going to advance. We're going to migrate. We're going to progress to step 2. And the step 2 is going to render the component to upload the recipe image, right? So now let's go back to VS Code and add a step. So this one is step 1. Let's add step 2, which is the image uploader. So let's go back to VS Code. So last time, if we go right here, what is the form? I'm just going to close this for now. Close this. And so here is the form, right? So last time I commented this out. So now we're going to make use of this variables we have right here. So for us to do this now, so this variable right here, we'll call it recipe ID, right? And this one we'll call it active step. Now, when a recipe is being added, then we're just going to take the ID of the recipe. Then we're going to go to the next step where we're going to upload image based on this recipe ID, right? So now let's go up right here to bring in the state variables to get track of those. So here we have active step. So we have steps, and then we have the recipe ID, right? Now the active step is what we're going to use to track the active step. For example, when we are on the form to add a recipe, so that form at that moment is going to be the active step, right? And it's going to be the step 1. So right here we have declare a step. So here we have add new recipes, add new recipe details. So which means when we are on this step right here, add new recipe details is the form. Then after this recipe details is added, then we're going to advance, or we're going to move forward to add recipe image, right? So for us to implement our stepper, we're going to install some dependencies, which is some libraries of React that is going to give us the stepper that we're going to use to actually move from one step to other. So let's go right here. I'm going to open our terminal, and then let's go here. So now we're going to, the first one we're going to install is the emotion, right? So we're going to install a dependency. Here I'm just going to say install. So we're going to install this one right here, add emotion / React, right? Then after that, now we're going to install another one called add emotion style, right? So I'm just going to come right here, move forward, and add it here. So here we have the emotion style, and here we have emotion React, and then we're going to also add the material UI, right? And then we're also going to add material UI. Let's push this forward and bring it in here. So these are the 3 dependencies that we're going to add. So we have the emotion React, the emotion styled, and material UI. So now let's hit on enter. So let's wait a minute while they get installed. So now these dependencies have been added. So let's close these, and I'm just going to verify this from our package.json. Okay, so right here we have these 3 dependencies being installed here. So now we're going to close this, and let's go back to our form. So right here, we're going to bring some import from the dependency we've just installed, right? So now we're going to have the stepper, which is this one. So we're going to have the step, right? And we're going to have the step label. So this one right here is going to serve as the step label, right? And this one right here is going to serve as the stepper. So that's just what we did right here. Now the next thing we're going to do, so having done this right now, the next thing we're going to do, so we're going to move down inside the body. So we're going to move down right here. So I'm going to push this down. So below this horizontal row right here, we're going to bring in some declaration. So we're going to bring in a stepper. So right here, this is the stepper we imported up there. So we set the active step to the active step we declare as the state variable. And here we just set the eternal label, right? The active label right there. And then the steps right here, we just map the steps. And for each steps we declare up there, we just create a step for it, right? Which is the label. So what we are doing right here is that, so here, remember we created a step right here, a kind of array of steps. So right here, we just have 2 steps right here, right? So now this is the steps we are mapping below right there. So right here, we just try to say, okay, for every step right there, we create a label for that step. So here we have the step label declared in here. Now, having done this right now, that we're going to come here to set the active step. So here we're going to say if active step is 0, then we're going to show the form, right? So here we're going to say if active step equals 0, right? Then what we just need to do is to show. So what we need to do is to show this. Sorry, I need to have and right here. Now, if the active step is 0, which means we are adding information, right? So in that case, we are going to show this form. So for that, now I'm going to come here. So we're going to grab everything right here, or maybe I'm just going to copy this one, just cut it and put it below. Put it below here, right? So now if the active step is 0, then we're going to show the form for the user to add the recipe information. Now, below right here, we're going to check. So when the active step is 1, then we are going to bring in the image container. That's the image component we've created, right? So for that, now I'm going to come right here to push in the container, the image container, which is the image uploader component we created last time. So here I'm just going to push this in. So right here we have a feed set, right? And we set the border, and then we have a legend here says upload image for this recipe, and then we bring in the image uploader we created last time right in here, right? And also bring a button right here to enable us to navigate backward to the recipe form. So now, before we continue, we're just going to go up right there to do this import. We're going to import the button and the row if they are not already imported. So right here, okay, we'll have the button right here and we'll have a row. So it's been imported already. So the only thing we're going to import right here is the image uploader. So I'm going to say import image. This is image uploader actually. Let's get it open so we can get access to it. So image, let's go to the images. We created images folder last time. Okay, this one right here. So this is what we need, the image uploader. So right here, we're going to say import image uploader. Okay, this one right here. So this is just all we need to do. Now, this button right here, we've created this button right here that when it's being clicked, then we're going to go to the previous step. So now we're going to define this previous step, right? So now we're going to define this previous step up there. So let's move up. And below right here, I'm just going to bring in a simple function. So here we define handle previous step, and we just subtract 1 from the active step, right? And make sure that the list is 0. It should go below 0. That's what we did right here. So the subtraction shouldn't go below 0. So that is the action right here to actually, when we click on that button, we'll be able to move to the previous step that we've passed. So how we do this right now, let's go back to our browser to test this out. So right here, this is the form. So let's bring in, okay, so now you can see that we have step right here. So now we are on this first step right here, step 0. Remember that array starts from the index of 0, right? So when it is 0, here we have 1, right? So now we have add recipe details. Then step 2 right here is add recipe image. So now let's come right here to bring in some zigzag. And let's just come right here to add some things for testing purpose. So the category, let's select any category. So let's save this. So now you see that we have saved this now and we have moved to the step 2, right? So now this step 2 right now will enable us to add image to the recipe. So let's click on here to actually add an image. So let's just pick up any image right here, and here we have cookies. So let's upload the image. So right here we didn't have any indicator right here, but I think the image was uploaded. Let's go back here. So okay, so now we see that we have been able to add a recipe and also upload image for that recipe. So let's just come here to get it deleted. So now we can just update this recipe, right? But now I just want to remove it. Let's just delete it out. Okay, so now we are able to add a new recipe, and also we are able to add an image to that recipe. But what I want to do, I want to expand, I want to increase the width of this form a little bit. So right here, so I want to increase this one to 800. Okay, so it's a little bit wider, right? So this one is good. So now let's go back right here to test the button. So let's go here. Anyone? Anyone? And then let's go here. So this is the previous button. So let's click on it. So we are able to come back to the next, to the previous step, right? Okay, so let's go here to actually delete, to remove this zigzag we entered here. So let's remove it, right? And now we have been able to add recipe and to add image. So let's move to the next video where we're going to be talking about something else to do. So see you there. All right, so coming back right here, we've seen that we have been able to create our recipe form, and then we'll be able to add a new recipe from the form, and also we've been able to add image. So there's something I want us to do in this video, of which I just want to quickly, we're going to enter a new recipe so that we can actually understand what we're trying to do in this video. So to start with, let's just come here to enter some random data, random recipe. So right here, let's choose an image. Let's save this. So right here, we see that our recipe has been saved. So let's go back right here to check the recipe details. So right here, if we check the recipe details right here, so if we scroll down to the section of the user, which is the user that shared this recipe, we see that there's no username right there. We just have a placeholder of the photo and the text, the dummy text we have right there. But the username is not there. That is because in a typical setup where a security is being implemented, before a user can actually share their recipe on this platform, they have to log in first. Because when they log in, that is where we can actually have access to that information, right? So because we need to save that recipe against the name of the user, so that when the user logs in, the user can actually see the recipe they have donated, right? And so that when anybody comes here to actually browse the recipe, they can actually know the user that actually shared the recipe with them. But now, because in this course, we are not going to go into the stress of integrating security, so we're not going to integrate security in this course. But now we are going to find a way to mimic a login user so that we can actually get the username from there. So for example, now if we go right here, so this one is the user form, right? So I'm just going to come here to put in a static name. So I'm just going to say Baker. So I'm just going to say this user is called Baker6. So now let's go back to our browser and let's go back right here. So let's put some dummy data as well. So let's save this. Let's just have another thing. Okay, so this one has been saved. So let's go back here. So if we go here right now and try to look at this recipe, so we're going to see that we have the dummy username, which is the static username we impute in our code, right? But we're not going to be able to be doing that, right? So what we just need to do in this video, we're going to create a login form, a form to mimic a user login. So when the user enter a username, choose a username, we're going to validate that username against the existing username in the database. Then we're going to proceed to do other validations. Then we're going to save the recipe of the user to the username they have entered. So that is what we're going to be doing in this video. So let's move down to VS Code. So right here on VS Code, I'm just going to remove this one for now. Let's remove this. So what we're going to do right here is that we're going to go inside our project. Then now we're going to create a new folder called auth. And in here, we're going to create a component to actually mimic the login. So what I want to do in this video, in this place, is that I just want to bring in the form that I've prepared. Then we're going to run the project. Then when the project is running, then I'm going to come back right here to explain each step of the way. So the first thing I'm going to do right here is to come here to actually pull in some 3 variables. So I'm going to paste this in right here. So this one is the one to track the username. This one is the one to track error. And this one is the hook. So let's just come here to actually import this hook from React router router DOM, right? So the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to bring in the function, which is the invert handler, to handle the change when input is being changed in the form right here. So this is the one to handle the input change action. And then we're going to bring in a function that is going to handle the main logic to actually mimic the user login. So for that, now I'm going to push down here and paste this one in. So here we have the handle submit, and there are a lot of logic we did inside here, of which I'm going to explain when we see the output of the form, when we see what the user is actually doing. Then I'm going to come here to actually explain all this code here set by set. So having done this right now, we're going to go inside the return body. So I'm just going to bring in the return body of this form. Now, right here, let me explain this body before we go. Now here, we just have only one control. We have only one control right here to actually take the username from the user, right? And here, we just have normal Bootstrap container and the form, and then we handle the onSubmit. So right here, we actually catch the error. If there's any error, we have the row, we have the form right here, the form group. So the important lesson right here is that here we have just only one control to take a username from the user. And here we have a button with continue, and based on the, so when this button is clicked, then we're going to start iterating through the logic we have read in here, of which I'm going to explain in a moment. So before we move on, let's try to get all these imports. So we have the container, we have the row, we have the form, and we have the button. We don't have a column. So let's scroll up right there to actually get them imported from React Bootstrap. So right here, I'm just going to scroll down right here and put this in. I just want to be fast about this. So then let's have, let's import our use state. Okay. So now that we have done this right now, the next thing we're going to do is let's quickly create this function right here to actually get the username from the back, right? Which is from our back end. So let's go to our service. So right here, we're going to bring in a function to actually get the username from the back end when the user clicks on continue. So now I'm just going to push down right here to bring in the function. So this function right here is get the username. So we just want to send that username to the back end for verification before we come back to the front end. So now before we move on, we need to go to the back end to actually settle this endpoint over there. So let's go back right here to VS IntelliJ. So I'm going to right click and close all this so we can see a clear way. So let's come here to see. So as you can see right here, we have not implemented the user API, right? So in our next video, we're going to come back right here to actually implement the user API so that we can actually get done what the logic we're trying to implement right here. So see you in the next video. All right, so coming back here to the back end. So in this video, we're going to implement the user service. So let's go right here. So here is the user folder we've created. So now we're just going to right click on this one and create a new class called user service. So have the user service. So I'm going to copy this one. And then we're just going to enter. So the next thing we're going to do here is to create interface for our service. So the service interface. So I'm going to say I user service. We'll paste this one right here. And this one I'm going to choose the interface, this one, and click on enter. So let's close this. So now the only thing we're going to have right here, we're just going to have a simple method right here, just only two methods, two services. So one is to register the user and one is to find the user by ID. So here I'm just going to say user. Yeah, this user is coming from here. It's not what I want to do. So here I'm just going to say user. So this one I'm just going to call it register user. Register user. And the next one we're going to have here is the one to actually find the user by ID. Find the user by the username. So here we're going to have string. Damn, what's happening here? So here we're going to have the string, and this one I'm going to say, just going to say find by username. String find by username. We're just going to pass this in. So this is just the two. This is just the two method we're going to use in this section. So now let's go back to our service and get it implemented. So we're going to say implement, and then let's come here to actually bring in the two methods right here. And now let's come here to bring the service annotation. And let's come here to actually bring in the Lombok annotation for constructor injection. So now we're going to bring in a repository right here, the user repository. So right here, there's a suggestion right here. We're just going to pick this one. That's great. The next thing we're going to do here is to just come here to, we're just going to say return user repository. User repository dot save user. We're going to tap in. Let me push this in a little bit. Zoom in a little bit so you can see clearly. And having done this right now, the next one we're going to do is the one to actually find the user by ID, by username. So here we're going to say user find user by username. And so now we're going to check if the user is empty, if the user is present, then we're going to extract the username. But if it is not present, then we're going to return none, right? So we're going to say if user not equal none, or we're just going to say if user equal none. Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm a bit carried away by the smartness of IntelliJ with this new update. So now here we just okay, if user is not equal none, so we're just going to return. So you can see that IntelliJ actually suggests the username because this is the signature of our method right here. So now IntelliJ knows that we're actually returning the username, which is a string. So here you just give us okay, if the user is not known, if the user is actually found in the database, then we're just going to return the username. So if the username is not found, we're going to return empty string, and this is exactly what we want. So having done this right now, let's go back to, let's create the controller for this. So now let's go up right here. We're going to create a user controller. So here I'm going to say user controller. I'm going to click on enter. I just updated my IntelliJ a few days ago, and I mean the performance is amazing, man. So the next we're going to do right here is to bring in the REST controller. So we're going to say at REST controller. And the next one here is request mapping. So we're going to say at request mapping. And the next one here is the Lombok annotation to actually have the constructor injection at required arc constructor, this one right here. And now we're going to bring our service right here as a dependency. So wow, this one is really cool, man. I'm really amazing with this. So now let's just make this one. Let's take this interface instead of the class, right? So let's do this import. Okay, So now we have done this right here. So we're just going to create a we're just going to create two endpoints to register the user and to get the user by the username. So the first endpoint we're going to create right here is the one to actually register the user. So we'll say public response entity. So this one we're going to have the user right in there, but meanwhile this one we're just going to say register user, register user. Then in here we're going to have, actually we don't need this one, we're going to have the user itself. But now we're going to bring in the annotation to actually request the body of the user. So we're going to say at request body. Yeah. And then we're just going to return the user, right? Oh, man, I'm really amazing. This one is really fast. So here we're going to say this one is at post request, which is post mapping. So we're just going to come here to say register. So that's just for the one to register the user. Then the next one we're going to do is the one to find the user by the username. So here we're going to say public. So this one we're going to return the same response entity, but this time around we're going to return a string, right? Because we're actually returning the username. So we're going to say return a string. So we're going to say find by username. Find by this one is actually username. Wow. By username, right? So I'm going to call this one username. Yeah, username. So now we're going to actually get the string. So we're going to say, okay, we're just going to say the user equals service equals repository. What's the name? Okay, user service dot find by username. I'm just going to pass in the username, and then we're going to return response entity, the user, right? And this one we're going to say is it's a get mapping. Okay, so now we're just going to leave it as it is like this. So now this is just all we need to do right here. This is just only the two endpoints we need to create for our user. So one is to actually register the user, and one is to actually find the user by the username and actually return the username when it's found, right? Okay, so having done this right now, we're going to return back to our front end. And meanwhile, before we go to our front end, this one is going to be a request param. Lest we forget. So we're going to say this one is a request param, right? From the front end. So this is just all we need to do for now. Let's be sure that this one, okay, we have the request body right here to actually get the user. So let's make sure. Remember last time in our recipe DTO, we are already returning the user alongside with the recipe DTO. So this one here is the recipe DTO. So here we've already gotten the user DTO right here. So we're actually returning the user back to the front end already, right? So there's nothing we're going to do right here anymore. So now that we have done with the implementation of our user API, so let's run our application again and go to the front end. Okay, so our server is running. So let's go back to VS Code. So coming back right here, now we're going to remove this one. So So this one here, we're just going to say user. Let's find out. I forgot. Let's go back right here to check our base endpoint. Okay, we didn't do it. So let's come right here to say slash API slash user, right? Okay, so just say users for best practice. So let's say users. So now let's run this again while we go to the front end to actually get it corrected. So let's come right here. So this one here, there's no point of this one anymore. So here we're just going to come and say users, right? And then we'll pass in the username as the request param. So now let's go back right here to actually get this imported, to get this get user imported. So let's go right here. So I'm going to say import get user right there. So that is this one right here, this one right here. Okay, so now that we have done this, now let's route this component. So let's go to our app.js. And so this one, I'm going to copy this one and paste it here. So this one, I was just going to say login. So we're going to call this one login, a mimic login. And then we're going to bring in the login component we've created a few minutes ago. So this is just all we need to do right here. So now let's go back to our header. You can rename this one. You can rename this component to navbar, right? The reason why I name it header is because of this one, so it should be conflicting, but you can just do something else, right? So now we're going to come right here. So instead of going to add recipe, that we're going to say login, right? So this is just all we need to do right here. So let's go back to the browser. So now let's come here. So here we have the login. But meanwhile, I want us to have some border around it here so that it look a little bit beautiful. So let's go back to VS Code. So back here to VS Code, I'm just going to, let's go back right here. So this one is the body. So I'm going to go in here to have a div, run the form. So let's cut this one. Let's go down right here to actually, we're going to include the button. Sorry, yeah, we're going to put it outside the form right here. And then we're going to set this div border class name. So we're going to say border, right? And so let's give some space. Let's give some padding. Let's say padding maybe 4. And also this one right here, I would like us to have a kind of rule right here, right? And also the button, before the button, I would like us to have a rule as well. Okay, so let's save it. So let's go back to our form. Okay, so right here we have this one. So we just have a small form right here. So enter your existing username or choose a new one if you have not gotten any. So this one right here, we're going to enter a username. So when a user enter a username, we're going to see what happens. But meanwhile, let's go and check this link right here where this one is going before we come back. So right here, this button right here, when this button is clicked, the continue right here. So we're going to come here to this handle submit. And this handle submit is actually going, you can see right here that we're actually navigating to the add recipe, right? So that's where we are going. So now, before I come back to explain to you what is happening right here, let's actually go and text it out so that when you see how it works, so that when I will come back to explain it, you can understand very fast. So let's come back right here to get it done. So now I'm going to have, I think we have a user number 2 right there, Baker2 in our database. So let's click on this. So now we have the username found, Baker2, right? So which means this username is found in the database. So now we don't know if this user that is entering this username is a new user or the existing user. So now we come back right here to say, okay, please choose another username if this is not you, right? Now, if this user clicks on cancelled, so which means this is the user from the database, right? So if you click on cancelled, then we're going to go straight to the form with this username. But if the user enters a new username right here, for example, so if the user changes to Baker7, for example, and click on OK, then we're going to ignore this username right here and proceed with this username. I hope it's clear, right? Now, but if this user does not enter any name, if this user clicks on cancelled, then we're going to ignore this message, and which means this user agreed that he's the same user. So any recipe that this user is going to enter is going to be saved for this username right here. So it's going to continue, right, to the recipe form. But if this user enters another name here, so now we're going to ignore this user, we're going to ignore this one right here, this Baker2 right here, and we're going to proceed with Baker7, which means it's a new user that is coming in. I hope it's clear now. So now let's actually test it out and see how it works. So I'm going to just enter a user Baker7 and clicks on proceed. So now we are here. So let's actually enter this one right here and enter this one, and then let's choose anything, and in the country, enter one here, and let's choose anything right here. Let's save. And now let's actually let's pick a food right here. Let's put Banku okra, Ghanaian cuisine, and let's upload it. So now let's go back right here and check it out. So if we go here, so we see here that we're supposed to have the user right here, right? But something happened of which we're going to fix. So now let's actually go back right here. Let's go back right here and let's refresh our user. So we see that the user is not here because we didn't plug it in VS Code. So let's go back right there to actually get it plugged in. So right here on VS Code, we're going to come here to say, where's the form? Let's go to the form right here, the recipe form. So this one right here, for us to actually get access to the user that is coming here, there's something we need to do right here. Sorry, I believe this one is a little bit complex, the explanation. But if you're going to understand what we're trying to explain, what we're trying to achieve right here. So now this one is the username, right? But now for us to actually get the username, we need to, when we are navigating from the login form, we're going to navigate, come here with the username, right? So for us to do that now, we're going to bring in the location hook so that we can actually get the username from the location when the user is actually navigating down right here. So for that now, what I'm trying to explain here is that we're just going to come right here to bring in a location hook, this location right here. So let's actually get this hook imported. I think this hook is coming from the router DOM, and we have not gotten any import from the router DOM right here. So we're just going to import the location from the router DOM, right? So I'm just going to go down right here and bring it in. So now what we're going to do right here is that, so we're going to set this username to this username right here. So we're going to plug it in right here. So what we did right here is that, so this location right here is a hook. It helps us to actually get information from the navigation URL, right? Which is from the navigation information. So we're just going to check the state of the location if there's any data right there called username, right? So if there's any data called username right there, we're just going to grab it, right? And here we just create, if there's nothing like that, so we're just going to come here to navigate in with the empty object, right, of the user. So now we just take the username that we got from the form and set it right here to this username right here. So by doing this right now, so the username that is coming from the login form is going to be the username that we're going to submit alongside with this recipe. So how to do this right now? Let's go back and check this out. So now I'm going to go back right here, right? So now I'm going to have Baker 9, for example. Then let's click on continue. So now we can see that Baker 9 actually comes here straight, right? Because the reason why is that that username was not found in the database. So it's a new user. So that's why it comes here straight. So now if we enter anything right here, and save it, so we don't want to bother uploading image. So let's just go back right here to actually get it to look at it. So now this is what we just entered. So let's go here. So if we scroll down, we have Baker 9 right here as the user, right? That means that is because that username is not already in existence. So now let's go back right here to enter this user 9 again, Baker 9. So let's click on this. So now it's telling us that Baker 9 is found in the database. In other words, Baker 9, the user Baker 9 is already in existence in the database. Now, if you think this is not you, then choose a new username. But if it is you, just click on cancelled, right, to move ahead. So now, if we click on cancelled, right, or if we click on cancelled, we are going to go straight with the Baker 9, right? So let's click on cancelled. So right here, we'll go right here. But now let's come back right here to this username and choose this one, right? And so let's click on this. So now this username here already exists, right? Baker 2 is found. So now let's check, let's change the username. So I'm going to say Baker 10, right? And click on OK. So right here, we'll come right here with Baker 10. So let's enter, enter, enter. And let's save. So it has been saved. So let's go back right here. So if we go in here, let's check it out. So here we have Baker 10, right? So this is the tactics I suggested for us to use to get our username, since we are not integrating security. So now that we have understood how it works, what we're actually doing right there, so it is time for us to go back to IntelliJ, to VS Code, to explain those codes line by line. But meanwhile, I'm going to delete all this zigzag we've entered right here. So let's just go right here to get them deleted. So let's clean up our page. And so you can just go ahead and delete all this. So in our next video, we're going to go to VS Code. So now that we have seen how this login page is working right now and how we can get our username to register with the recipe. So in our next video, we're going to go to VS Code and explain the code, how it works. So I'm going to see you there. All right. So now that we have seen how the Mimic login form is working, so in this video, we're going to explain what this code is doing. You've actually seen how it works, right? So right here, when a username is entered, just like we've seen, and the submit button is clicked, which is the continue button is clicked, so we're just going to check here. So if the user has not entered a username, so we're just going to ask the user to enter a username. Now we're going to send the username to the back end, which is this one right here, right? So we're going to send the username to the back end. So now we're going to wait for the response from the back end. So if the response is not none, which is if it is not empty, then it means the user was found, which means that username was found in the database. Now, if that username was found in the database, now we just give alert box, right, to the user that the username you've entered is found, which means the username already exists in the database. Is that you? So that is why we send this message right here. Is that you? So if it is not you, please choose another username, because if you use that username, your recipe will be saved against that username, right? So now, if that is your username, you just have to click on OK. If that is your username, you just have to click on cancelled. So when you click on cancelled, then we're going to proceed, right? We're going to proceed with the username. Now let's come back right here. So now case none, it means when you click on cancelled, which means the new username, because the new username right here is what we are passing from your input, from the user input, right? So we declare a new username right here. So when you put any input inside this prompt, so we're going to take it, and so now we come right here, we come to switch the case. Now, if that username is none, which means the user has not input any new username, which means the former username that was found in the database was the real username, right? So he's the owner of that username. So then we're just going to navigate to the recipe form with the username in the state, right? So this is the state we are actually trying to search right here, location.state, right? Or empty object. So this is the location.state that we are trying this is state we are trying to get. So we just try to set the username to this state variable right here, right? So then we navigate, see right here. So we just have to navigate with the original username. Then we break. Now case number 2. If there's empty string, maybe the user just enter empty string right here, then we're going to set that as an error, right? Because right here, you can see right here that we're actually trimming. We try to trim it right here to actually trim out the username, the empty space, right? So right here, if this one is an empty string, which means the user has not entered a valid username. So we're just going to throw an error message for the user to enter a valid username, right? And case default, which means the user has entered a new username, right? So we're just going to set the username, which is this one right here. We are the username, right? This one right here. So we're just going to set that username to the new username that was entered, right? So then we're going to navigate to this place with the username in the state, right? So that is what we just did. Now, if no existing user, then we're just going to proceed direct. Now, if the user is not found in the database, which means it's a new user, so we're just going to navigate directly with the username that was entered to this recipe form. So this all the logic we just did right here to mimic the login scenario, because we don't really have time. We cannot go into integrating security to this project. This is just how what we just did to get the username being saved alongside with the recipe, just like we've seen in our test, in our previous video when we were doing the testing. Okay, so I hope you understand this. In case you don't understand clearly, you can just meet me on Facebook, Daily Code Work on Facebook, right? And you just meet me right there. My Facebook channel link is, my Facebook page link is on that. I'm going to put it under this video. So in case you have any question, you need any clarification, you can just meet me on Facebook, then I will respond to you very fast. All right, so this is the course I published on Udemy last week. So in this course, you're going to learn advanced concepts building Java full stack applications with React. So you are going to learn advanced concepts including Spring Security, JWT, Stripe Payment Gateway for credit card validation, and also you're going to learn how to deploy your full stack application to AWS. You're also going to learn how to manage your React app content with Redux Toolkit to actually manage data for in your React applications. And this is another course I have on Udemy. I have 2 courses right there on Udemy. So in both courses, you actually learn advanced concepts building Java full stack applications using Java Spring Boot and React, and fully secured with Spring Security and JWT. So the link is below this video, so just follow the link and grab this course. All right, so so far so good. We have almost come to the end of our project. And so in our previous video, we have fixed in our Mimic login page, this one right here. And so now we can see that our project is actually in shape. So here we can filter cuisines by, we can filter by cuisines. And we can filter by cuisines, and also we can filter by category, right? So we can actually view, recipe. So we can go through the recipes, And we can actually rate, we can like recipe, so we can give rating to recipe, right? And also we can actually update or delete recipe, right? Now, so far so good. I think we have almost come to the end of our project. So the very last component we're going to create right here before the rounding up of this project is this one right here, about us, right here, what we do at Cookshare. So this one is just a simple about us page that we're going to be creating, right? So let's go to VS Code and it's just a static page we're going to create. So right here on VS Code, so let's just go right here. So we're just going to create that page. It's just a kind of, okay. So I'm just going to put it, where will I even put this about us page? It's just, okay, I'm just going to put it right here inside this component. So here, I'm just going to say about us. About us.jsx, right? So we're just going to generate our component. And the only thing we just want to do right here is just go to come right here in the return body and bring in the static write up. So this is just all we need right here. No code, no nothing, just a static write up we have right here, right? Okay, so this is just all we have to do right here. So this is the end of this static page. So let's go back to our app.js and get it routed. So I'm going to put this one down, and here I'm going to say about us. Just going to say about us, right? And so the component is about us. Yeah. So that's all. And then we're going to go to our header, and here, what do we do? So we're just going to say about us, right? Was that what we did there? Yeah, about us. Let me just remove the hyphen, right? So it match. So now let's go right here, and so let's say about us. So this one is about us actually. So we forgot to import the cover photo we put right in there. So let's go there and get it imported. So where is the page? So this is the page about us right here. And here we're actually using an image somewhere. Where is the image? Okay, this one right here. So now we're just going to, and this image is inside, I think it's inside here. Yeah, so this cover 5. So that's what we want to use for the about us, right? So let's get it imported. So I'm just going to go up right here to bring in the import. This one actually is imports, right? So that's all. So let's go back to our browser and let's refresh. Here we have component buttons does not exist. Really? Okay, let's check it out again. Let's check it. So here we have 55png. 55png. Okay, so let's what will I do? Okay, let's open it. Okay, that is not actually what we want. Okay, this is what we want. So the 55 is what we want actually. So I'm just going to come here. So I'm just going to come here to say import 55 from. So let's go right here to actually trace the directory from assets, right? And we have the images, and we have cover 55 assets images cover 55, right? So this one is actually PNG. Is it PNG? So let's go right there. So 55.png, 55.png. Okay, so now this one, let's change this one to 55 actually. So let's say cover 55. All right, so let's go back here. Refresh. Okay, so this is about us page. So this is just a simple about us page right here. It's a static page, nothing much. So here is our landing page, which is our home page. So this is our recipes. So everything is working. You can filter, everything is working. So now we can actually add, a recipe. So let's go right here, right? Continue. Yes, let's just say continue. So now you see here the message, right? Username found. Please choose another username and click on OK if this is not you. Else, click on cancel to continue. So this is the instruction I've given right here. So let's click on cancel, and here we continue. So right here we can actually add a new recipe, just like as we've added before. So this one literally brings us to the end of this simple project, and I hope this project helps someone out there. So like I said, visit my course on Udemy. I have some courses on Udemy with the link I put below. So for there you get deeper knowledge on how to actually build Java full stack application in a simple way, and you get learn advanced concepts and industrial standard ways of doing things. Where you're going to learn how to implement security, JWT, Stripe payment gateway for credit card validations, and AWS. You're going to learn a lot about AWS, how to actually deploy your full stack application on AWS using Elastic Beanstalk, EC2, and so on and so forth. And so just follow the link below and check out my courses. So this course, the complete code of this course is right. The link to the GitHub repository to get the complete project is down below the video, is in the description section. So check the description to actually get the full source code downloaded and practice this code. So I hope to see you again in our next project, because in our next project we're going to be working live with React 19. We're going to explore every component of React 19, the changes, and that's what we're going to be working with. So we're going to be working with the latest updates in every technologies that we'll be working with, right? So if you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, because that is one of the ways you can actually help me to grow up my channel. So please help me subscribe and share my channel to people, and like my videos, right? Because that is one of the ways you can actually help me to grow my channels. Subscription is free. You don't need to pay money. Just do it to help someone out here, right? So thank you so much, and I hope to see you in some of our upcoming projects. Goodbye.